zero to hero. What are we looking at? We're going to be looking, aren't we, at, well, we're dates, aren't we? You know, how do we go on with dates? And I'm not talking about stepping out with like a lovely person. I'm talking about other dates, aren't I? Alright everyone, welcome along. Training Tuesday. So we're at day 4, aren't we? Kind of that whole zero to hero piece is picking up. Okay, we've kind of got to a couple of bits and I've deliberately kind of gone like so far and stopped, right? So I want you to kind of get your head around this concept, right? Dates are really important, and it's not just about how you're growing up and, you know, is that the guy or girl of my dreams? Is that what I want? Is that, you know, there's a lot more to it in analytics, and it's important that you understand dates and calendars, especially in Power BI or any other analytics environment, because it's such an important part of the work that you'll do. So let's cut an hour to a whiteboard and kind of have a look at some concepts about it. Alright, so here we are. This is typical, isn't it? We've got a big fat table full of all our sales, right? And we're making lots of bang, aren't we, right? When, like, you know, everything's great. Cream. All that. So one of the things that we want to know is, like, total sales, isn't it? And we're going to say, well, what's my total sales by day? By week? By month? By year? Right? And then we might say, oh, well, you know, what about MOM? Month over month, yeah? Or Y or Y? Y or Y? Year over year. Okay, so how are things changing over time? And the only way that you can do all that, right, and actually start to have that, is have that concept of dates going from 0 to X, yeah? So are you going from, you know, where's, whatever your start date is, going to your end date, you have to have a continuous set of dates, right? Once you've got that continuous string of dates, you put you put context onto it. So you'll put your weeks, your months, your years, right? And then obviously your month over month and year over year, they're relative, aren't they? So this month or last month versus the month before it, or last year versus the year before it. So they're relative, but it's all about that continuous string of dates going from something to something, and then applying an overlaying context onto that, yeah? So you have to overlay context onto your string of dates. What does that mean? Let's go to Power BI and find out. So here we are, yeah? Where we left off last week, okay? And we've got the idea, haven't we? We've got a calendar here, and we've got the idea that we've got our orders table. So this is like our sales table that we were just talking about. So orders. And we're saying, well, you wanted to do it by stuff, weren't you? So you need to think, what's it joined by? So we've talked, haven't we? You need your continuous set of dates. So we've got our order date, and we've got dates here, okay? Now, there's a couple of things that I'm going to really cover now. So if you do nothing else in this video, remember these 2 little bits, okay? Or 3 little bits. Thing number 1, okay? Make sure that you've got dates set up properly in your Power BI desktop, okay? A couple of little steps to do with this. So it's multiple things, but it's probably just thing 1, right? Set your dates up properly. First thing to do, and I'll be honest, right? I still do this, okay? Sign up with a new client, something like that. First go into Power BI desktop on a new machine, new build, something like that, and it's just like, oh, rubbish, right? And I've done loads of these, and then I've gone, oh crap, I've forgotten to do it. So don't worry, but remember when you see it, you go, oh crap, need to change it, right? Change it, not a big deal. We need to do it. So the first thing, file, options. Okay, file, options. File options. Under data load for global, right, make sure auto date time is unticked, right? And if you're loading a file and auto date time has not been ticked, you've got to go into the current file and untick it, right? I'm going to tick it for now so you can see the warning sign, right, of when you've got it turned on, okay? So what I've got here is I actually got, this is already, I've done step 2, so I'm not going to undo it. But what you'll see is if you've got a column of dates, is you'll see it as a little drop down, and it says date hierarchy. And that means that your auto date time is turned up. You've got it, the box ticked, right, at a file level or at your global level. If you see that, go through Power BI, go into the settings, turn it off both at the global and at the file level. So we're going to do that again now. Options, auto date time off for that. If you remember here, double check, it's still off. Right? Okay, so we can see that's gone now. Right? What we want to do as well, okay, is you need to tell Power BI, use this as my date table. So have your calendar selected. So in this case, I've got a calendar in here already. I want to mark it as a date table. And it says, which is the continuous set of dates that you've got. So you pick it. So in this case, it's dates. I'm going to click OK. And you'll see it gets this little funny icon. Like a little, it looks like a person for some reason, but that means it's the official dates column, right? So we've now got this model is set up perfectly for doing this analysis, right? So because we've got that, we can go in and we can see the dates and how they're all joined in. And what it means is we can now, if we went to a new page, we could pick to say, well, I'm interested, if I look at my calendar, in months, okay, and see the sales, okay, drag sales in by month, right, and this is going to give me my months, right. I can say, well, I want to know what's going on for the years, so I'm going to put years in there as well. I'm going to tell it not to sum it, honestly, right. So we've got a few things in there that you go, hang on, those aren't right, that's not what we want. So you can see, I might have my calendar in and working, but the whole piece that I mentioned back in the whiteboard, right, about context isn't working yet. Right? And it's not working for obvious reasons, right? There's good reasons for it not to work. So let's go in and have a look and see what do we need to do to get the context right. So how have we built the calendar to start with, and then how do we put in the right context? Let's go in, go back to our main page, under home, let's transform the data model, bring it on here. Okay. The first thing, you remember I mentioned I've got 4 of them, haven't I? I've got 4 different elements to my calendar. The first piece I've got, and this is the piece I genuinely cannot remember where I got it from, right? And it really annoys me because the way this is built is it starts with a start date, you've got an end date, and it then is calculating a number of days. But the nice thing with this is fundamentally the way it's built. If you look at it, and as I say, I did find this somewhere else. I wish I could remember where the source was, and I'll keep looking. I'll go back and look again. Right. So for this, we're starting with at 1900 and going to 2100. So we're going 200 years of calendar. Okay. Now the way this is set out, you can turn around and you could decide to use that as a parameter, right? And that's what I've done in the past, right? This layout that I've got is just the basic 4 tables that I slap in while I'm doing a job with a customer, because these work really well for giving you a good calendar. Okay. So if we go from here, and remember, right, you can follow through the steps and see what happens, is we start with having this list of numbers, or list of date values from 1900. And then we're going to convert that to a table, because you need to have a table to make a table. Obviously, not a list, a table. Right? And they're different in M. Don't worry at this point. Okay. you have 3 different types, right? You've got strings, you've got lists, and you've got tables. But don't worry for now. A table is what you need if you're going to build a table. So we've now got a list of values that we've converted into a table, and we're then going to say, let's make that into dates, right? I'm going to treat it as dates. So we renamed it to dates. We've inserted a year from there. We've inserted a month from there. So the month number, a week, and a day of the month, right? Week of the year, all the usual things, right? What we can also do is start to put in other stuff. So I've put in here a conditional column, and this is one that I often use, that you'll often use as well. If you've got like a fiscal calendar, and in this case, the client that we were working with when we built this, or when I took this as an example, they were using the British tax year as their fiscal year. So April was month one. Yeah, May, month 2. So you've got some simple things that you can put in there. Okay, we're then putting in things like the day, the name of the day, the name of the month. Yeah, right. Got some concepts here that I use, like day drift. Okay, and year drift. Now, these are things that with day drift, year drift, and there's the third one I use, month drift. You can use week drift as well if you're doing a week calendar. It's a similar thing. You'll end up with an extra table for it because of the way I've had to build the month drift. And you'll see that in a minute. Okay. The idea of this is that we're saying now, right, how many years or how many days is now different from it, right? Because what you want for the drifts, be it a year, a week, a month, a day, is 0 is the one you're in now. -1 is the one that was before, +1 is the one that was after. Okay, this is something I use because so often you'll want to build a report based on last month or a report based on something else. Okay, and having a drift column allows you to tie it to there. You can do calculations as well that just tie it to there, to a drift, rather than trying to write complex time intelligence. You can do your blah, 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 where drift is, whatever. You can do it even for like same period last month using drift. You can do all sorts of things like this. Something I put in, okay? I started doing it before all the variables were available in Power BI. The variables will help and make it a lot easier, but I've still stuck to using drift. I find it easier for me, and I find it easier to teach people. You may find it doesn't work for you and it's stupid, right? But I use it a lot, okay? We get the drift in. Got the day drift, got the year drift, right? And then we're going to change everything through. So we've got dates, all the stuff's in there, okay? The month drift, as I say, is similar. So we're going to do that. And the big addition that I've got is this, right? So a corporate calendar, okay? Now, there's a concept that a lot of businesses will have, right? And that's this idea of having a corporate calendar. So it's not uncommon that you're going to turn around and you're going to say, well, we might use a retail calendar like 443 or 434. It's 434, 443, yeah, right? Retail calendars, right? I can't even say them anymore. Whatever you're doing, when you get to that and there's no rhyme or reason to it, this works very well for it. Okay, so what I've done here is I've actually just used a spreadsheet, okay, to give me that list of values. So I've read in a spreadsheet, navigated to it, pulled that in, and I've got end, the end of it, right? Promoted the headers, we've got a date, which we can then join through our, in here, and we'll show you that in a second. And then the values that you have. So this is like Geordie Intelligence month, Geordie Intelligence quarter, Geordie Intelligence year. Whatever it is you're doing, it could be like a week number, it could be a fiscal month, it could be something along those lines, right? So I've showed you, you can use that staggered calendar if that's the way your business works, but you can also do this, right? And the way you manage it is obviously in the calendar here, we start with the base, as I say, and then we're merging in the month builder, expanding it so that we've got everything, right? And that gives you a core date for it, then filling down and then just filling up just to get the rest, okay? And what you can do as well is you'll see here, we've merged the corporate calendar in. So we've got those there. We're going to expand it like we did before. And then we're going to fill down. So you've got your starting point for your corporate calendar, fill that down. Okay? And suddenly you've actually built this place where, or this structure where you've got everything is in, right? And you can build and have a consistent calendar that covers every eventuality that you've got. Now I'm going to do is close and apply, and that's going to merge all my calendar items together. But you're still going to say, well, these aren't right, are they? That's where the best bits come in. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go through to the data. Okay, and this is one of the steps that so many people kind of forget, don't realize, just get wrong. Okay, so let's start simply. Okay, so year, obviously, right, needs to be sorted by, and we're going to sort it by year drift. See, another reason to use year drift. So the year drift, which is a number, is going to give us the order that those are going to go in. Okay, you don't need to sort year by a number if it's a number, but if it's text, you can find it helps. Right? It's useful to be able to sort it. Month doesn't need to be sorted. It's a number. It's going to be the right. But what you need to sort is the month name. So what we can do is we can choose to sort that by column. We're going to sort that by month. And again, this is where if you've got a fiscal year or a fiscal calendar or something like that, you might want to sort that by that. Okay. So if you think, if we were using our business year, so we could sort that by FY month. So if we come back through here now, what we should be able to do is build this into a proper hierarchy. So we've got here, we now expand 2014, April, May, June, July. Okay, we can see then it goes into January, February, because we've got them sorted on that. If we go back through to our data and have a look back at our months, and this is where you need to be clever if you're going to do it and think through your years and how your years are going to go, because you need to use, if you're using your fiscal, you need to have fiscal year, because those are going to have to straddle a year as part of the context. So month name, what we'll do is we'll sort that by month, just so you can see. Okay, and then let's go back to here. January, February, March, April, right? So we've suddenly got where those will work. And now, because we've got it like that, if we were to change this to be a proper chart, for example, hey, suddenly, one of the things you can do is if we put year as the legend, we can actually start to see, is there a seasonal variation to what we're doing? Is there a year where we're doing better or worse? And suddenly we're starting to bring in intelligence into what we're doing with our calendar. Yeah? Champion. Okay? Time intelligence, dates, calendars, all that is so important, but it keeps coming back to your calendar. Right? And one of the things that I see time and again with people who are saying, oh, but I know what I'm doing, Power BI. Oh, I'm dead good, right? Is auto date time. So if you're seeing somebody doing auto date time, right, that's a big no-no. Okay. As I say, for me, I've found myself and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? Okay. So it could be that they're having that kind of a moment, you know, let them off. But it's like, if it keeps coming back, you want to wonder. So auto date time is definitely your enemy. The reason why it's so bad is it creates a table for each calendar entry or for each date column that you have. And then when you're trying to compare different ones, it just doesn't work. It's great if you're just starting out and you're not sure what you're doing. So like if your boss just starts building stuff, right, auto date time will save them like so much. It allows them to do stuff. We're not like war boss, right? We're supposed to know what we're doing. So auto date time's a no. Okay. Thinking through and understanding the needs that your business and your client or the way you're going to report have for their calendar is also important to you. So do you need to use a fiscal calendar? in which case you need to lay out your fiscal months and your fiscal years and all that kind of stuff? Or is it a case that you're going to get away with using a general calendar, in which case you've just got your general calendar? But I think you saw, even with that slightly offset fiscal month calendar, like where we switched to like the UK tax year, that the act of doing that was going to break years as well. So I would have to have a tax year column that went along with it. So there's a lot of a lot of work that goes into a calendar. And because there's so much work that goes into the calendar, that's where I don't mind having 3 or 4 tables involved in building my calendar. I could even have 5, 10, 20 tables. I wouldn't actually mind. You know, you might say, well, let's bring in public holidays. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right? All those things you can do. There's no problem with doing them. What I do is I put my corporate calendar into a core data flow. Right? So I always have this concept of core data that we're going to have. Similar to like big ERP systems where you've got like that real master data where there's some bits that are just core, line of business, core to everything we do. Right? And we try and bring those through. So if you've got like exchange rates or things like that, chances are you might use like a fiscal exchange rate that you're going to use. It'll be monthly and you'll review that monthly. But you couldn't obviously use daily for transactional purposes. And then you kind of take the hit or whatever, right? There's all sorts of things that you'll find that you do. Those then go into that core data flow or set of data flows that you've built. And it's vital that you start to think in terms of reusability of your data. So reusability is going to be the topic for day 5. So stay safe, take care of yourselves, and keep those dates going, eh?